Okay, and now we'll talk about Smiljan Radic, an important architect from Chile, just like Aravena, and a little bit less known, but a remarkable architect himself. So Smiljan Radic, born on June 21st, 1965 in Santiago, is an international recognized Chilean architect of Croatian heritage. So Croatians are good not just at soccer, but also at architecture, even if born in Chile. Radic graduated in 1989 in architecture at the Catholic University of Chile and established his own office in 1995. Many of his projects are small scale, such as dwellings and installation designs that bridge across various cultural traditions. Radic was selected to design the 2014 Serpentine Gallery Pavilion in London. Not a small honor. Here he is. Here he is. Here he is. And here he is. Some drawings by Smiljan Radic. I hope I pronounce well his name. I didn't double check on how to pronounce correct names. In case I do not pronounce correctly his name, I apologize. Drawings, sketches we can all do, but he transformed some of these sketches in remarkable buildings. Is he a dreamer? To an extent, I think any good architect is a doer, is anchored in the earth and in a certain form of pragmatism, but is also a dreamer. You have to have some dreams. As William Faulkner, the great North American writer, said, always dream. But it's not enough to dream and just lay on the sofa and look to the sky and dream and dream and dream. You also have to try to implement the dream, and that is not easy. But the beauty of life maybe derives from exactly that, trying to implement some dreams, whatever dreams they are. This house he built, inspired by the poem De Long Le Droit by Le Corbusier, and we are going to see it. So you can tell he is a dreamer, but we need dreamers. Without them, life would be unbearable. A sketch that probably led him to building the Serpentine Gallery Pavilion of 2014. He built it, and we are going to see it. Extension to charcoal burners house and public space in Culipran, Chile, 1998-1999. I'm very attracted to this kind of architecture. I don't know exactly what's going on here, but this kind of archaic, archetypal structure or architecture is intriguing, is magical, is mysterious, is fantastic. And again, we have the proof that indeed he is a dreamer. I should know more about this. I should read the details. I don't know exactly why it was built and why it was built in this way. I'm just responding to the images that I see, just as you see them, and I find it very intriguing and stimulating. Now, Peter House in Pabudo, 5th region, Chile, 2003-2005. Here we see clearly the advancement of a certain kind of modernism, a lot of glass, prisms, and so on. But the landscape proclaims the untold story of nature. And the dialectics between the building and nature create a very dynamic environment. In Chile, of course. Smiljan Radic. He loves stones, and we are going to see the employment of stones in some other projects, giant rocks. Copper House, Talca, Chile, 2004-2005. This house constitutes a second tryout with copper as the material or its outer facing. In the small town of Nercon in the south of Chile, the undulating texture of the copper or cooper, maybe it should be, no, it should be written copper, C-O-P-P-E-R, seemed to take on a historic quality by emulating the one that was used until the beginning of the 20th century in the house and churches of Chiloé, faced in galvanized steel. In this building, the modulated texture, 3.5 by 95 centimeters with a thickness of 0.5 centimeter of ripped electrolytic copper, something is covering my when it exasperates me, the third line of this text, but you can read it, and so you read it, because I don't see several words. Now I can, because I moved the tab. So the electrolytic copper also imitates certain general aspects abounding in the area, the heavy layers of drooping, I don't know, tiles, the deformation in the geometry of the pitch of the roofs due to successive extension and bouts of decay, the deep shadows these roof slopes produce, and the continuous texture of the outer skin. Here is the building. So you see the copper, clothing of the building. I guess that's him. Although it might be that it's not him, but it looks like, the silhouette looks like him from behind. Smiljan Radic. These are big houses, like the previous one and this one. They're not for everybody, but yeah, that's him. Sorry about these drawings, they are a little bit too light. I took them from Arch Daily. A restaurant in Santiago, 2005-2007. This project won a public competition convoked by the municipality of Itacura in Santiago in 2005. The restaurant is sited at the northeast end of the park, a work by architect Teodoro Fernandez, that is still under construction and occupies a corner opposite some extraordinary water gardens stuck between a lookout hill and the pavement skirting the Bicentenario Avenue. So I guess you can do architecture in any circumstance, even for a more prosaic program, so to speak. And this restaurant is a proof. You see the big rocks. I don't know where he finds these giant rocks. He employs them all the time. Mestizo. It is a legitimate building. Maybe it's not a masterpiece, but it's a building well built, well conceived, and for a function which is as it is, a restaurant. But maybe even a restaurant could have an eye on architecture, so to speak. Casa San Clemente, 2008, some sketches, and here is the house. Very different from the previous houses that we saw. Rather interesting, this one as well. This could have been in Japan very easily, but it's in Chile. We see again the giant stones. Not bad. It's almost like a temple, a small temple. And again, these huge stones, look at them scattered everywhere. I like this idea of a kitchen counter on wheels. You know, there is a sense of that, you know, we don't live in order to eat, but we eat in order to live. Now, a house for the poem of the right angle. Of course, the poem of the right angle belongs to Le Corbusier, an esoteric poem, so to speak. And I wonder what this work with alchemical overtones by Le Corbusier, what meaning it had for Smiljan Radic. Obviously, it impressed him. That's why he dedicated this house to this poem, the poem of the right angle. And this might be his best known work. This is the house. I don't know exactly in what way this house connects with that work by Le Corbusier, but it's probably some kind of an homage to Le Corbusier through this building. So, it is an homage to the right angle or to the poem of the right angle, but we see a lot of angles which are not right, meaning they are not 90 degrees. So maybe he was even, oppositional vis-a-vis that work by Le Corbusier. And look at the plan. Not too many right angles here. There are a few, but they are not, essential to the project. Giant skylights, quite dramatic and sculptural. This is an artwork, a sculpture, an installation that is part of the architecture of the interior, and you are going to see it. There it is. And I think it's very nice. So we can actually include artworks into the making of a building. I mean, not to be something that you hang on a wall, but something that participates to the configuration of space. Maybe from the very beginning. Obviously, not everything can be controlled by reason. There are other forces in life and the universe which do not conform to the predictability of logical or reasonable calculations. And maybe this is the meaning of this snake-like tornado in wood, or I don't know how to call it. A winery in Chile 2014, dramatically other in the sense that here is almost a cosmic landscape, uh, and it's just a winery. Um, Now, wineries do have money, and some important architects like Herzog and de Meuron also, worked in this field, so to speak. Wineries have money, but when you look at this picture, you wouldn't imagine this is a winery. You'd say it's some kind of a cultural center or an observatory or I don't know what, but not a winery. We see also the value that is placed here on an abstracted landscape. And stones or rocks again, plenty of them, as like fallen stars. He obviously likes rocks and stones. It's impressive, but again, I'm not sure that is quite adequate for this function, a winery. It's more like a place of asking questions, existential questions, and meditation. Now, the Serpentine Gallery Pavilion in 2014 in London, here it is. Too bad that these pavilions, they are removed after a while. But I think most of them are rebuilt, reinstalled somewhere else, so they don't get lost. Because it would be a shame, to have it lost, to destroy them. A bus stop in Krumbach, Austria, 2014. A little bit whimsical. I'm not sure about all that glass in a country like Austria with its climate. In the summer, it could be too hot, and in the winter, well, I guess, you are dressed for the outside. So, but the demagogy of glass is still there for all to see. Is this a birdhouse? Probably. An interesting idea. We don't think too often about birdhouses. And here he is, was probably manufactured in a shop. Community hub in San Pedro, architects Smiljan Radic, Eduardo Castillo, and Danilo teamed up on this community hub in Chile, featuring a bright red fire station, raised black walkway, and a playground. Now, this is clearly a fire station. Even in Romania, fire stations are sometimes red. They are supposed to be red. They are about fire. But the architecture is otherwise rather, elongated, so to speak, in a assertive, modern way. Some constructivist gestures here. Maybe the Russian constructivists would have liked it very much. Now, this theater is rather interesting. The Teatro Regional del Biobío in Chile. The architects developed a design with a contrasting interior and exterior appearance based on a code by Polish theater director Tadeusz Kantor, an avant-garde director of theater. My packagings were an attempt to portend the nature of the object by hiding it, enveloping it. A skin of semi-transparent polytetrafluoroethylene PTFE is laid over a regimented concrete framework to create this duality. And this is the building, how it looks like during the day. But inside is something else, and also during the night. A theater. And the darker it turns out to be outside, the more you see the structure, the forest of columns inside the building. So it's a play with a mask that plays such a role in theater, or the veil, if you want. Smiljan Radic. Well, he had some collaborators, but I like this mysteriousness that derives from the usage of various materials, the veil, the shadows of the structure beneath or behind, behind the veil. So there are levels of ambiguity here which are important. That's it. This was the last work that I showed today of this architect from Chile, Smiljan Radic. Thank you.